want to thank everybody for coming. We also want to let you know that we're asking that you ask 2 questions apiece, and after you ask those 2 questions, no other questions. Thank you.
All right, good morning. My name is TJ Morse. I'm the Chief of Police for the Baton Rouge Police Department. Also present beside me, East Baton Rouge Mayor President Coach Sid Edwards, East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hiller Moore, and Southern University President Dennis Shields, and Chancellor John Pierre. I wish we could all be here under better circumstances, but today we're present to discuss the tragic death of a young man that has gripped the hearts of so many in our community. Over the past several days, detectives with our Baton Rouge Police Department have been working tirelessly around the clock and with cooperation from the District Attorney's Office and leadership at Southern University to bring some answers to the family and loved ones of band member and engineering student Caleb Wilson. Detectives have interviewed over a dozen people and executed multiple search warrants to gather as much information as possible. As many of you know, Baton Rouge Police Department was first made aware of the death of Caleb Wilson by medical staff at Baton Rouge General Hospital on February 26th around 2:40 a.m. Initial reports indicated that Caleb Wilson was dropped off at the emergency room by a group of males that stated he collapsed while playing basketball at a Breck Park located at 3140 North Sherwood Forest Boulevard. All of those subjects left prior to officers' arrival. Through diligent efforts during their investigatory process, BRPD detectives uncovered that the location reported initially was not accurate, and that the alleged incident, in fact, occurred at a warehouse located at 3412 Woodcrest Drive. And Caleb Wilson died as the direct result of a hazing incident where he was punched in the chest multiple times while pledging to Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Through further investigation, BRPD detectives developed several suspects involved in the incident. This is still an active and ongoing investigation, so additional warrants and persons involved cannot be ruled out at this time. Last night, one of the suspects, Caleb McRae, turned himself in with his attorney and was booked into East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. McRae has been charged with criminal hazing and manslaughter. Again, this is still an active and ongoing investigation with more arrests forthcoming. We will be updating the media and the community as these arrests occur. I ask that you all continue to keep this family in your prayers as our Baton Rouge Police Department continues to investigate and try to bring answers to this family about what happened to Caleb and arrest those that are responsible. Thank you. I'm going to have the Mayor President step up and give a few remarks. Mayor.
Good morning. I echo the Chief. These are days and times that we don't want to have to deal with. I was blessed to meet the family. Had a private meeting with Caleb's mom, dad, grandma, and uncle. One of too many meetings I've had since I've been in office with young people that we're losing way too soon. The main message I want to put is from the mayor's office and the city of Baton Rouge's prayers for the family during this time. I want to thank Southern University, the chief, the district attorney, and everyone involved for their hard work. You know, my message to Baton Rouge is we got to do better, Baton Rouge. We got to do better. We feel like sometimes we take one step forward and 2 steps back. It's a sad day to use such a promising young life. And I encourage all the young people out there to make better decisions. So here again, we hate having these family meetings. We got to do better, Baton Rouge. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dennis Shields, and I serve as the president of Southern University System. Words cannot express how deeply saddened we are by the loss of our student, Caleb Wilson. Our collective thoughts and prayers continue to be with Caleb's family, friends, classmates, and all who knew and loved him. Southern University is very much appreciative of the efforts of the Baton Rouge Police Department under the leadership of Chief Morse and District Attorney Hilaire Moore, who are working diligently to pursue justice for Caleb. The university will continue to fully and actively cooperate with law enforcement as this case moves forward. Our internal investigation and code of conduct processes adjudicating these events are ongoing. The Baton Rouge campus chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity has been ordered to cease all activities. As I just noted, student code of conduct, judiciary proceedings are underway. Anyone and any student organization found to be in violation will face prompt disciplinary action. In addition, every campus Greek organization is being informed that no additional membership intake can occur for at minimum the remainder of the academic year. We place the quality of the experience our students have on our campus, and we have high standards for that. And we intend to preserve those standards and act expeditiously to resolve this matter such that nothing like this happens again in the future. Thank you.
All right, you can ask your questions.
I have a question. Chris Okamoto with Channel 9. Can you guys say how many additional people could potentially be arrested? We're hearing conflicting reports. As many as 3 individuals, possibly more. Do you guys have a number and how many people are cooperating?
Yeah, so let me first say I too have seen a lot of conflicting reports out there, none of which are coming from the Baton Rouge Police Department. So please get all of your news straight from us and wait for our official statements. Right now, we have 2 additional suspects that we are drawing up warrants for and working with their attorneys to turn themselves in later today. As that happens, we will update everyone on those arrests as well. But right now, this is still an ongoing investigation. There may be more suspects, but right now we have 2 that we are drawing up warrants for.
Can you talk about the cooperation? You said you guys have interviewed a number of individuals. Were those individuals pledges, or were they actually the individuals doing the hazing?
So I'm not going to give any information about the people that we interviewed, but the people that we did interview led us to this point where we were able to get the information to make these arrests.
Chris Joseph with Fox 8 down in New Orleans. Can you speak about the decision-making on the charges, perhaps why these aren't second-degree murder charges?
Yeah, so good question. In the state of Louisiana, we have 5 degrees of homicide. We have first degree of murder, first-degree homicide, second-degree homicide, manslaughter, negligent homicide, and vehicular homicide. In this case, manslaughter is the most appropriate charge in the state of Louisiana, being that there is no proof that we could come up with a specific intent to kill, but that the death was caused in direct relation to another felony that was being committed during that death, and that felony being the act of criminal hazing.
Related to those 2 other potential suspects, or maybe anybody else, do we have any reason to believe more than one individual laid hands on Wilson during the incident?
All of that is still pending. Some more questions that are being happened. Like I said, we've done over a dozen interviews. More are coming as we continue to interview people. We might have some more information. We might have further charges on further people.
Kind of a follow-up. Do we know how many people were at the event?
We do, but we're not ready to release that right now.
Anybody else have any questions? Could you elaborate on how long the delay from the original incident to Caleb actually arriving at the hospital was?
Yeah, so that's all part of our investigation and has gone into why we the charges that we have done. Don't have exact timeline that we're ready to release as far as when Caleb first collapsed at this warehouse and then when he arrived at the hospital. All of that is still kind of pending some questions that we're trying to follow up on. What I can say is that at no time did anyone call 911, or attempt to call 911, or try to summon an ambulance to the warehouse to give him medical aid.
And the second thing, could we know, is there any implication for Todd Smith, the part owner of the warehouse where the incident took place?
Not right now. Yes, ma'am.
Could there be any charges coming for the individuals that made up the story about the park?
So again, all of that is kind of in investigation process. There is no specific statute for lying, right? There are some things that we're looking at as far as maybe obstruction or other things, but that's still things that we're working through as we're gathering some more evidence and continue to investigate and ask questions.
How many people can you say might face charges for that?
Not sure right now.
Has there been a warrant already put out to go search that warehouse, and has there been any surveillance footage that we get to look at, or?
Yeah, so we one of the warrants that we did conduct was at the warehouse, and this was a week ago, more than a week ago, before anybody else really knew that the warehouse even existed. We had already performed a search warrant and gathered evidence there. What evidence we gathered, again, I'm not ready to discuss, but we were able to get some evidence at the warehouse.
Two questions. First question, I'm Andre Shaport with Unfiltered with Kieran.
Yes, sir.
First question, what's your message to the other college students out there?
Yeah, so this is a very serious incident, very serious law that I think is a good law for criminal hazing that people need to make sure that they're paying attention to. You can hear just from the administrative point of view, from Southern's leadership, and LSU would have the same kind of statements, but from our law enforcement side, we are going to enforce these laws whenever they're applicable and whenever it comes to our attention. And it is a felony charge.
Second is real quick for Hiller Moore. How does Max Gruber Act help in this case?
So it's one that we're going to consider because in the Max Gruber law, which is hazing, so it incorporates not only misdemeanor hazing, act of regular hazing, but also when hazing involves a great bodily injury or death, there is a felony component to hazing, and it carries up to 5 years. So that is a potential. However, in this case, at this point, at least one defendant was charged with misdemeanor hazing plus the felony manslaughter. Felony manslaughter is whenever a direct battery or a misdemeanor against the person is committed, and because of that someone dies, that is a punch, and someone dies, it carries up to 40 years. There's also the potential of a negligent homicide. So it really depends on how the facts play out. And so in this case, the potential would be, again, it's ongoing. And, thanks again to the cooperation of Baton Rouge Police, but particularly to Southern University. I've been through a lot of hazing cases before, and I think I've probably had 40 phone calls with Chancellor Pierre and their office providing information to us to give to the police department. That's a very good cooperation. So it's possible, with all the other questions that you guys have asked, this case could go to the grand jury just to see where other things are out there. How did it get formed? Is this the first time it's ever happened? Why at this location? Who knew what? Who reported as quickly as they can? There are civil penalties in the Max Gruber violation for the institutions as well, not necessarily the Southern University, but the corporate chapter. So there are a lot of things that are possibilities. It just depends on who comes forward and what information that we're provided and able to prove. So that's our possibility.
One last question.
Question for Dr. Shields, if possible. I know there's a student judiciary process, but are any of these students possibly facing expulsion?
Certainly that is a possible outcome, but we need to follow our due process rights, give the students notice that they're being accused of being outside of the code of conduct regulations, and we want to follow those rules, regulations, and due process. They have every right to that. So yes, the expulsion is one of the things that could happen. Also, that's a possibility for the Greek organization.
To be kicked off campus entirely, or they're not on campus.
Right.
And can you say how many students are currently being involved in that judiciary process?
It's too soon to identify how many. We're still conducting our own investigations and receiving more information on a regular basis.
Thank you.